So this is a panel I'm really looking forward to doing. I have been involved in going to this show for a number of years, and I really love that they're including breeding as a topic that's important to the whole controlled environment ag space. And the reason I think it's really important is that now that we've been doing this for a little while and we're really pushing plants to see how far they can go with regular breeding without just by doing selection and not doing any specific breeding. I think we're now kind of ready to say, how can we go to the next level and really get some plants that, for the most important part is delight consumers. So how can we really have crops that taste better, are more nutritious, and last longer in people's refrigerators? And so I think we're ready to jump into breeding to solve some of those issues now.
I know there's a lot of focus right now on tomato genetics. So, as that continues to evolve, what do you see in terms of some of the other crops that might benefit or have the greatest opportunity in this area?
Yeah, I think so. We've been focusing a lot on tomatoes, and leafy greens have been the most focus for indoor, both greenhouse and vertical farms. And I think as we're starting to look at how can we use these manufacturing plants that we're building to produce different kinds of products. And strawberries is one that a lot of work is now going into. There's a number of both vertical farms and greenhouses that are starting to look at strawberries and look at strawberry genetics. And a lot of times it's through partnerships with people who have genetics. So strawberries is a big one. I think when you're looking at what makes sense to grow indoors, it's something that you either eat the whole thing, like leafy greens, so there's not a whole lot that's left, or it's something that's super high value that you can afford to spend a little more money growing that consumers want. So strawberry kind of fits that area, and so does tomatoes. And people are also looking at the potential of microgreens and herbs. I've heard people talk about cucumbers and peppers as other crops to start looking at growing indoors. A whole other area I think that's going to come about is going to be looking at, can we produce different things in plants besides plants for food? Can we produce flavors and fragrances, unique flavors and fragrances through plants in an indoor environment much faster, more cheaply than growing in the field? And also people are looking at the potential of growing producing some sort of pharmaceutical in a plant that then would be taken and purified and grow into some sort of drug. And so I think those are areas, there's just a lot of room for expansion as we work more and more on the technology. I think where we're headed, indoor is never going to completely replace outdoor. I think we're really building on situations that we need both. And so where it makes sense to have indoor, where you don't have as much land, you don't have as much water, and it makes sense to grow indoor, then I think we're going to be looking at growing indoor. Also looking at situations where we can get right into the distribution and get these products to consumers faster. I think that's going to make sense. So there's going to be, we're going to still have that balance of indoor and outdoor. So I think that's going to continue as we go ahead.
So, what are some of the takeaways that you hope attendees might glean from the discussion?
Yeah, I think one of the things is realizing that breeding is important, that we've done a lot through selection where we've taken different varieties and we've pushed them as hard as they could. What happens when we use LED lights and we grow in this kind of vertical environment? And we're able to select a lot of different varieties that probably wouldn't have worked growing outside because, like in the case of strawberries, maybe they're too soft and botrytis would attack them. Or in other types of crops, they're just too prone to disease and insect damage. And so we've really pushed a lot in selection, but now I think we can start looking at how can we breed for higher nutrition? How can we breed for better texture? How can we breed for longer shelf life? So we can start looking at those types of things that we can actually start breeding for. And the other takeaway is that I really want companies that are thinking about this to partner with companies that are experts in seed breeding and seed production. I think there's a thought of some indoor farms of like, well, I'll just start a breeding program. But there are a number of seed companies that have been doing this for hundreds of years. And are really able to think about how do we breed seeds, and then not only just breed them, but how do we scale them up so that we can make them available to everyone. So I think thinking about breeding is important to get to where we want. There's some areas of unit economics that this will help. We can delight customers more, and it's just a better ROI for the indoor producers. And then thinking about, okay, so how do we get there? And the best way to do that is to partner with people who are really good at breeding.